If you want to know how to remove the windshield out of a Foxbody, just give it more boost. It'll come right out. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We got so much to cover in this one. The work I've done in this video has taken me over several months. So we're gonna go back in time a little bit. I'm gonna go over real quick how I made a custom K-member brace, and then we're gonna jump onto the interior of the car, and I'm gonna take you through the small journey about when I completed the front half of the roll cage. I don't have too many miles on the car. Immediately noticed there was a pretty good amount of chassis flex, and I did have an Instagram post where I showed when the car knocked the windshield out of it. Car twisted a little bit. When the car flexed enough, it was enough to pop the glue on the windshield. Okay, big problem, big solution. So here we go. Now, guys, part of this situation is something that I created. All right. Never mind some of this stuff that you see going on. We're going to get into all this in the next video. Okay, but this being what contributed to most of the problem. All right, because prior to this cage being done, the front half, all the stress, the car was stiff as a board from the B pillar back, okay? But from the A pillar forward, it put a lot of pressure on the weakest part of the car, okay? Which would be right here, all right? And that was enough to tweak it and pop the windshield. The 6-point cage by itself probably would have been okay. It was all about the gusset that I put in. So live and learn, this is part of the process. I didn't really consider how much it was gonna flex, but it did. I had to cut out those cheesy subframe connectors. Cutting them out was about as brutal and painful as you can imagine. I'm just doing everything I can right now to get the chassis as rigid as possible. You live and learn. Like I said, when I started building this car, I didn't anticipate it was going to be what it was. You know, the turbo kind of came later on when I decided to do the motor. In the beginning, my intention was to just build an NA car, and that was it. But it became what it was, and now just got to do the right things and make sure that chassis is number one. The chassis stiffness, chassis got to be right. I made this part just the same way as I did this inner floor brace. It's kind of like a quasi upper torque box reinforcement. But you see that? It's the same thing. All right. I don't know why we're not making those, but hey, whatever. That's my design there, so go ahead. Use it up. Does it work? I don't know. It's doing something. It's adding weight. But anyway, I got an 1.25" DOM to go straight across. We're gonna go look a couple. We just made 2 quick little easy standoffs. I'll put the piece up, I'll tack it in, and then whatever's left hanging, once my height is right, I'll just baloney cut them, just like I used to do like bike subframes and cages and stuff like that. All right, real easy. This is the premise for all your making simple standoffs for custom parts. So basically, I get these heavy-duty washers. All right, I got a piece of, this is DOM. We're gonna weld this to that. That'll bolt up. That's our standoff. So it'll be like that, and it'll just go straight across. And like I said, we'll baloney cut these really nice. So really quick, really easy. While we're here, just knock this out, guys. For the coping, I just use a grinder. I mean, there's all kinds of special tools. I do a lot of different things. I can't have a special tool for everything. Before we had YouTube, you got to just figure stuff out yourself. I learned to do this with a grinder. The flap wheel is good. I used to use just a regular flap disc, the real spongy ones like this. These work great. And then I recently discovered these that have on the both sides, so it's really good. So you go from the center line of each of the standoffs and measure. So after we measure, I get my piece and I get a piece of angle, and I just draw a straight line down the tube. So you can use the reference for whatever you want, if you want it to be your long end or your short end. And then I just give it a nice scallop, all right, coping, notching, whatever you want to call it, and I fit it up to my pipe, make it look pretty even. All right, that's pretty much it. So I'll just do this one for you real quick. Pretty much, guys, in the end, that's what I'll be looking like. All right, nice and clean, simple. You don't need fancy equipment for this. It just takes a little time. Like, I'll do this. I'm gonna go fit it up now. I'll come back. I'll, you know, do a little more until I get it just right. You want to kind of sneak up on it. You don't try to go for it all in one shot, because then you'll be wasting material. So that's the fit up that we're going with this. All right. Just take your time, sneak up on it, bevel the edges, and you'll be good to go, right? I'm real tempted to make a lug right off the bell housing and put a torque strut right there. You know, that was a Salingazzi suggestion, but this seems to be a good spot. I might do that in the future. So, you know, I'll make right off those two bell housing lugs, make a plate, and then go right to this, possibly. But let me get under here and weld this up. We'll take it out, paint it, pop it back in, and have a nice day. Another quick little task taken care of. Everything's been pretty smooth so far up into this one little chassis flex problem, which is a major problem. I was kind of being stubborn. I didn't want to do the forward down bars, only because it kind of changes the vibe of the car. But I knew I had to do it. But big problem, guys. All right, just been using some chemical stripper down there right now on all the seam sealer, undercoating, paint. I'm gonna gusset. The whole A-pillar is getting gusseted. That's why this is all stripped down. So basically, I'm gonna have a bar that goes from here all the way down to there. I'm tucking the bar as far forward as I possibly can, so I can fit the dash nice, and gusset the lower portion of the A-pillar from here to the bar. It's going to be gusseted from here over both sides. I'm going to be able to fit the heater box in, and I'm also going to put a crossbar on the dash and then a windshield bar up top. So I got my work cut out for me. I mean, I got all the heater box apart because now's a good time to actually rebuild that. I'm deleting all this vacuum assisted doors, so everything runs at the same time. I don't need to be blending back and forth, you know, the difference between vent, you know, the front vents and like the defrost and like the floor. It's gonna all blow at the same time for me, so that's fine. But it's been, this kind of sucks. It's just very nerve-wracking working around all this fresh paint with the grinder, with the welder, chemical stripper, all that stuff. Everything you do when you get into a situation like this kind of matters. Doing everything we need to do to prep, because everything's got to get welded, painted, and redone. Here's the forward bar. So yeah, once I get the bars kind of mocked up and everything like that, we'll take a quick look at how it's going so far. I got the forward bars and the windshield bar in. So right now I'm going to work on the lower door bar, because it's going to be a two-piece door bar. So I'm going to have a lower and then I'm going to have an upper, and it's going to come down like this. It's going to come down like this, and it's going to kick up a little bit so I can get some room for my feet. Alright, and then after this is done, this will all get gusseted all throughout here. I'm going to weld all this up. I'm going to do some notches. I got the notcher set up. Cricket dropped off the notcher. I'm doing that hot rod voodoo right now, guys. You know what I mean? We don't want to see no ugly welds like that. You know what I mean? We don't want to see no ugly welds inside the car. Maya's going to be here all the time. They're in a weld perfect enough for me to look at that all the time. But, you know, we smooth them out. Get it super nice. I don't think you're allowed to do this if you're going to cert the cage for like super fast guys. But for me, my little street car, ain't no big deal. Jacked up my truck and dropped it on this. This is 095. Inch and 3/4 095, and this is 120 wall. So, but I made this bar, and then I'm going to gusset to the firewall. I got to figure out a nice bracket for that. I don't know what I'm doing yet, guys, with that. So I got the lower door bar in also, so everything's in. I made these gussets real quick. Start working them in. All right, that's an 1.25 DOM. So just a little quick 45 on that. Nice. This is strong, guys. This is getting there. All right. So I got the lower door bar in. So my concept, my thought is basically going to be, I'm going to mock the dash up. I'm going to mount the seats. Once I get them situated and see how everything looks, you know, the seat bracket, I'll mount to here, the seat support, you know, seat will be sitting like this. So I'm going to go down, like to the seat brace. I'll keep it straight for a little while. So it'll be double high here, double pipe. And then I'm going to kick it up right here. So it's going to go bing, bing, bing. And then all the electronics are going to get mounted on a nice sick piece of carbon right there on both sides. Well, I don't do time lapses too often, guys, but I figured what the hell. So here I am just bending up this PVC using the heat gun. And then as it's cooling, I'm just holding it in position. I'm just trying to get a good idea how I want this thing to sit. This way I can go take this to the metal shop and have a pretty decent template to work off of, because I don't have a pipe bender. You know? That'll be all right for my shorty when she gets in there. You ever notice on tubing where it'll start to rust on the weld joint? A lot of times you'll see it on steel motorcycle frames, bicycles, and cages like this, and cars and whatever. So I got some epoxy primer mixed up, right, in a little cup. Take my little acid brush, and you want to seal those welds real good. You'll never spray it good enough. Make sure we get everything saturated with that epoxy and seal it up. You do this, you'll never have a problem. Just quick, that's just one of my quick little tips that I have for you from a has-been motorcycle guy. Checking out the door clearance there. Looking like it's going to be sufficient. Almost looks like I got it figured out here, guys. Part of the reason why I haven't been filming a lot of this is because you got to be like a contortionist, and it's really starting to get annoying. But that's the price you pay trying to build something like this. Oh. How many times are you gonna stick the tungsten, Tony D? Oh, that's gnarly. It's like one thing leads into another because I had to push everything over. And while we're at it, you gotta brace the back of the seats. No more sliders, they're fixed position. Yeah. It's getting a little racy looking. The attitude of this thing is definitely changing a little bit. For sure, 100%. You know, this is gonna make the chassis super rigid. I mean, I could continue the bracing forward the cowl, but I think we'll save that for another time. We're going to try this, and it won't be, if I do have to go into pulling the front clip off and getting into tube in the front, it won't be as intrusive as this was. This is pretty nasty. In 1989, that was the factory position for the Monster Tack, and in 2022, this is the factory position for the Holley Terminator X. Yeah, excuse me. You can see the how I made this little mount for the dash. It's solid as a rock, and then also the steering column support. Boom, right to the cage. I'll pop a hole at a later date. Just a lot of little brackets and stuff like that, guys. From here on in. But as you can see, real good with the dash. We came real close. Freaking door. One door, I need hinges on that thing. Well, there's no going back now. That's a big commitment, guys. You got a big problem, there's your big solution. I paid visit to a buddy of mine, Steve, over at Mayhem Fabrication, Mayhem Fabs. Check him out. Alright, there's his information. Super cool guy. I mean, he's got every freaking tool you can possibly think of. He actually cut these on a laser machine. It's like $1 million machine. Then he dimpled them, so I welded them in and stuff. Here's how they looked. Don't mind the rust, guys. That's sunny South Florida, but here's how they looked. Beautiful cut. Once again, thank you, Steve. Mayhem Fabs. I was messing around with this, just figuring out which way to actually put them, and I found like the fastest looking way to do it. So I got them welded on the outside there, and then see, no weld here, so I'll keep it nice and clean. And then and this is all welded. So this is kind of welding. You got to like tack it, tack, so you don't warp anything. But I'm just doing the fit up now on these door bars. Trying to just sneak up on it a little bit. So I'm gonna keep on going and just keep knocking it out. You know, when we're doing the exhaust, guys, we're talking about fit up. It's all about the fit up, okay? If you fit it up good, it's gonna weld up nice. If you wouldn't fit it up like shit, it's gonna weld shit, okay? So I didn't get this, even though I have the notcher available to me right now, I didn't get this in one shot. I snuck up on it. Sometimes, you know, these things aren't ever perfect, you know. It's a very dynamic, even between both sides, right? They're not exactly, everything's a little bit different. Especially, you know, where this meets this bar here, you know, how to make this curve. So the only advice I can give you if you're going to get into tube work, you know, you got to sneak up on it. You can't, you know, I started probably over here, and I kept working it back little by little, because one, this is like a $40 piece of pipe, all right, and two, the work that we have into it already, you don't want to ruin it, right? So, you know, take your time, easy, nicey nice, and sneak up on it. See, this will, watch. I'll tap that down a little bit before I weld it, and that's it. I'm going to put a gusset right here now as well, and we'll be good to go. Remember, pre-polish everything before you put it in. This way, one, it's clean, get a nice weld, and two, it's easier to deal with after you weld. Alright, got those pieces in there. So let me get this welded up. It takes time, guys. This isn't a one-day job, you know. Like, if you're gonna do something like this, be ready, order the parts, have all the stuff you need. You have plenty of gas, plenty of welding gas, plenty of wire. Whether you're making it, I've taken half of it and I've made the other half. You know, some places where I couldn't reach, I just migged it. I got nothing. I don't know. How was she supposed to do it? And I know one thing, that's a pain in the ass, right? It's a lot of freaking tape, a lot of materials. Alright, so here it is. I'm, you know, slapping the paint on this thing and getting it ready to be put back together. The best thing I can tell you when you're doing a roll cage, something like this, you start from the inside, work your way outside, and do the best you can. It's never going to be perfect. You're going to get overspray. It's the nature of it. You know, it's round, it's spread out, it's awkward, and it's really probably one of the more challenging things to do if you're painting something. So, yeah, you give it the best shot you can, and that's pretty much it. You send it. I'm glad you stuck through this one. I know it was a lot that I threw at you. Okay, coming up, we're gonna do some carbon fiber work. I'm going to take you through some basic process of how you make some nice carbon fiber panels for your project, which is going to lead us to hopefully completing this car soon. All right, and get a tag on her, get her running. All right, so stand by for the next one. That one's coming quick. All right, I already got that one baking in the oven. All right, like, subscribe, share. All right, let me know how we're doing on the channel, guys. If there's something specific that you want me to cover, let me hear about it, okay? Until the next one, guys, be safe. Peace.